Okay, for Lab 1, you go to your Dropbox folder. You open your Lab 1 pie chart. You open the file with Microsoft Word. It's easier to view this if you edit the document, that way you see it in page format. I need to make this table of data in Excel, so I'm going to just copy this table. Add a sheet in this Excel worksheet and paste this table in. It doesn't look very well formatted, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click between A and B, and drag A a little bit wider so that you can see everything a little bit better. And I'm going to actually change this up a little bit too and make it a little bit shorter so that this looks a little more even. I can read everything now. So we have the vehicle type and the number of people killed in that type of vehicle. We want to make the pie chart. The way that you do this is that you highlight the cars, trucks, motorcycles, and other. And you also slide over and you highlight the number for each of those, the frequencies in this table. You do not include vehicle type. You do not include the word killed. You just include the actual data and categories. And then you go to Insert, and what we want to insert is a chart. We want to insert a pie chart, so we click the pie chart and choose a regular 2D pie chart to get us started. And when we do this, it gives us some new menu choices up here at the top. And the one that I have here is not the way that I really want it. I would like to have a pie chart that shows me the percentage or the count for each segment and what each segment represents. And you can actually preview any of these different types of charts just by putting your mouse over them above. So you can see the various kinds of charts that it makes. And the only one that I saw that I liked the way that it made was this one. So I'm going to make that chart because that's the way I want my chart to look. Now my chart's not very big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it larger. And I notice that some of my data labels are, they're kind of small. You can actually move those around if you need to so they don't overlap. So you can see them better. You have an index for the chart that tells you what each one of the color segments represents. Usually I don't like a data legend. I would prefer that these actually show you what each one of these are, but since this is fairly well colored, we'll leave that alone and leave it like that. Or we can add chart elements by clicking on this button, such as data labels. So if I add data labels and tell them that I want it just best fit, or outside, or inside, or centered, it will put them wherever I tell it to do. I also have more data label options, and we can choose those over here. But since the chart is fairly clear the way that it is, we'll leave those alone. What I need to do now is I need to move on. You can follow the rest of the directions in the lab, because basically this lab walks you step by step through how to make the chart. And the newer version of Excel uses different colors, but that's what you see that appears. You can choose in the chart layouts different kinds of charts, and if you want it to look like this one, then let's go back to Excel. And we can look at format rather than design. We can also look at the design. We can view the layout for the charts. But everything is a little bit different place in the newer versions of Excel. As long as you've got your data labels there and you've got your percentages in your chart, you're fine. What I do want to change, however, and you can do this with some of the magic little buttons here, is, well, here's the one we want. Here, this is how you can change your chart layout simply by, you can preview what it's going to look like by doing this, just by dragging it over the different ones. So if you want it by count rather than percent, you could choose this layout. If you want it by percent with the actual labels there, then we can use this layout. And the other thing that I'd like to change is I would like to change the chart title. Now you can do that through chart title and data labels, but I find it's easier if I want to change something on the chart while the chart is still selected. I just double click the word chart title, because that's not what I want to call it. I want to call it what it tells me to call it in my instructions, which is motor vehicle occupants killed in 1999. So that's how we're going to name that chart. I'm going to just start typing. And I notice here that I've got another problem because one of my labels is actually covering that up. So in order to change that, I can make my box a little bit bigger. You can always size the outside of your chart. You can size it both directions at once by grabbing the corner and making it bigger, or you can make it just wider by grabbing one end, or you can make it taller by grabbing the bottom and dragging it down to the top and dragging it up. But that's a completed pie chart. And we're going to call this one the sample. And then back here on sheet 1, I would actually like that to be on the other side, so I'm going to move it over here. What I've done is I've opened the student data file, which I no longer have open, but I've opened the student data file that I sent you, and I copied the column called gender. I just simply clicked on top of the A and right-clicked and chose copy. And I'm going to copy it again here, so I'm going to choose copy, and notice it puts a sparkly border around it. I'm going to move this over to column C, and I'm going to paste it. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because I want it to actually sort these out so that I can count them more easily. So I'm going to highlight the first entry in the column, not the title, only the data entries themselves, the values of the variables. They're all male and female. And I'm going to go over here to this button that says sort and filter. And I'm going to have it sort into alphabetical order, A to Z. And notice that it puts all the females together at the top and all the males together at the bottom now. And that makes it much simpler to count these then, because I can click and drag and highlight all the females. And if you look down here on the corner of Excel, it says that count was 19. So we had females 19. And then on the males, we can do the same. We click and drag all the male labels, and it says we have 13 of those. So we'll type up here males and the number 13. This is the genders. This is the frequencies or the count. And we can make this table look nice by putting a heavy border all the way around it. And then a regular border in between these. So we can add, let's see. We'll just add the window pane borders and then go back and put a heavy border back around the entire thing again. So we have a nice looking chart here now, and it's formatted nicely. And we want to make the pie chart. So we highlight males and females and the counts for each one. We go to Insert. We choose Charts. And we click on the pie chart. Click on the simple one. And then on Quick Layout, we'll choose the one that tells us what percent of the students were males and what percent were females. And then we'll put, for the chart title, genders of Math 1530 students, because these are the only people that I collected the data from. And that's how you make a completed pie chart. If you want to make it fancier, or you want to change it in some way, maybe you want to make your females be some other color, you right click on the section that is female and tell it to format your data series. Or you go up to the top and you click on change colors and you pick a different color. If you don't like any of these colors, then you can scroll down and see some other colors. So let's say maybe I want my females to be green. Then I should be able to have them be green. So I'll go over here and click Fill and tell it that I would like a solid fill and pick whatever color I want over here. So you can do color changes up here, or you can do color changes over here. You get more color choices over here. Like, for example, if I wanted to actually use pink, I can choose more colors and find a nice shade of pink if I want to be all rosy and pink for this, and then just click OK, and it changed that label to pink. If I want the whole chart part to be pink, then I click that same pink that I used earlier. But now that's changed my whole chart, so I need to change my males back. So notice now I've divided the males off, and I'm going to let the males be light blue. And you can let them be any color that you want to. And if you need to make your labels bigger, while you're clicked on the labels, you go to the home and tell it to change the font size. I might want the font to be 11. That makes them a little bit bigger. You can make your background have a different color just by, again, clicking the fill on the background and choosing, let's say, we'll put a gray background on it. And there's a pie chart, and there's all the different ways that you can format it. Remember, the key to remember is that when you get ready to make your chart, highlight only your data values, only the summary part of your chart with the data values, not the titles of the data, and definitely don't highlight the whole column, because that will not do it correctly. When you're ready to save this, you save it to the appropriate file name and submit it on the Dropbox.